Thank you, and thank you for coming in, Minister. I'm going to address some of the issues in what was much lauded largest investment ever in housing. I think the pandemic has exposed the cost of our broken housing system when we see people in low-paid jobs not just sharing rooms but hot bedding, renters being evicted, and the crisis in social housing and homelessness continuing. The spin that this is the largest investment ever in housing, but when you drill down into it, the detail of which shows very little progress. Anybody on the cold face of the housing crisis will get little relief from what was announced yesterday. It becomes clear that there was nothing in the budget that will address the underlying causes of the housing crisis. Extra funding for homelessness was welcome, but without radical state building, it won't address the root of the problem, and Housing First should be the strategy when it comes to addressing homelessness. Our two-tier system will continue unless the state finally stops relying on the private market and developer-led planning. The much-lauded increase in capital spending will only add 593 direct-built houses to the Rebuilding Ireland 2021 targets, and there is no mention of the 7,000 houses that haven't been built this year because of the impact of COVID. That's not nearly enough to make a dent in the 50,000 houses over 5 years that we were promised in the programme for government, and a lot less than at least the 80,000 that we need. Following the loss of thousands of jobs since March, ending of the eviction ban and the imposition of Level 3 travel restrictions, again, there is nothing in this package for renters. The government continues to pretend that there isn't a crisis in the private rented sector and there isn't a looming rental arrears crisis. But for me, perhaps the most telling part of the budget is the so-called affordable housing package of £110 million. When I saw that yesterday, I wonder who wrote the housing section and who had the audacity to call it an affordable housing section. It looks like we are back to the days of the construction industry setting housing policy for us. The shared equity scheme has been promoted by the Irish Home Builders Association, which is a subgroup and an offshoot of the CIF, in their pre-budget submission. The so-called affordable measures of a shared equity scheme and the insistence on continuing the Help to Buy at the inflated grant level of 30,000 will simply drive up the prices for young people while padding the pockets of developers. Our own Parliamentary Budget Office said that people in the higher end of the income distribution Fianna Fáil in government have not reversed the disastrous policies of Fine Gael, but they have added to our problems through their insistence on shovelling money to developers through the so-called affordable housing plans and the Help to Buy scheme.